The arrival of the Deathworlders. In the year 2245, humanity had risen to prominence in the Galactic Coalition, a federation of advanced species bound together by their shared values of peace, exploration, and mutual cooperation. The humans, though a relatively new addition, had quickly become a subject of fascination and fear throughout the galaxy. Earth, or Terra as it was known in official Coalition records, was classified as a death world, a planet whose environment was so perilous that most species would not survive a single rotation. Yet, against all odds, humans had thrived. Despite the intrigues surrounding them, humans had earned a reputation as unpredictable and dangerous. They had evolved in conditions harsher than most species could imagine, where survival meant outsmarting nature's most brutal challenges. To the alien species of the Coalition, humans were a paradox, capable of both great destruction and boundless creativity. And today, 3 of them would set foot on Talvaron, one of the most prestigious academic planets in the Coalition. Talvaron was a serene, intellectually focused world. Its sprawling academic city, known as the Academic's Nexus, was a place of study and cultural exchange for the brightest minds in the galaxy. The towering crystalline structures shimmered under a bright blue sky, with rivers of light flowing between them like energy conduits. The air was always filled with the low hum of technology, but beneath it, a quiet calm permeated everything. Conflict was rare on Talvaron, and when it did arise, it was settled through negotiation, debate, or highly strategic games of intellect. However, the arrival of the Huon exchange students had stirred excitement and unease among the alien scholars. The Coalition had extended the invitation as part of a broader effort to understand Earth and its people, but the decision was controversial. Many of the Talvaron students whispered about the Deathworlders with a mixture of awe and dread, imagining fearsome warriors who could tear apart anything in their path. But what they didn't know was that the humans had something else entirely in mind. As the transport shuttle approached the Academic's Nexus, 3 humans prepared to disembark. The leader of the group, Ashley Pierce, stood at the front of the shuttle, gazing out the window. Ashley was a biologist specializing in xenobiology, the study of alien life forms, and she was eager to learn more about the Coalition's species. She was tall and athletic, with long blonde hair tied back in a braid and a calm, analytical expression. Beside her, Mike Hudson, a mechanical engineer, fiddled with his multi-tool. Mike was stocky, with short, dark hair and a perpetual grin that made him seem more approachable than intimidating. Finally, Priya Rao, an astrophysicist, sat quietly, reviewing the latest stellar maps on her handheld device. Priya was sharp and quick-witted, with curly black hair and a natural curiosity that often led her to ask the boldest questions. "This is it," Ashley said quietly, her eyes still on the sprawling city below. "The heart of the Coalition's academic world." Mike chuckled. "Looks a bit more peaceful than I expected. Not exactly a place where warriors sharpen their swords." Priya smirked. "That's because we're not here to fight, Mike. We're here to show them what we're really made of." The shuttle docked smoothly at the Academic's Nexus, and as the humans stepped off, they were greeted by a small delegation of alien students and faculty. Leading them was Professor Xiran, the headmistress of the Nexus, who stood tall on 6 legs, her elongated, insect-like body adorned with colorful, shimmering robes. Her 3 pairs of eyes blinked in unison as she observed the humans with a mixture of curiosity and caution. "Welcome, Earthlings," Xiran said in a melodic voice, her translator projecting a soft, mechanical echo. "I am Professor Xiran, headmistress of the Academic's Nexus. We are honored to have you here as part of our cultural exchange program. I trust your journey was comfortable." Ashley stepped forward, offering a polite nod. "Thank you, Professor. We're excited to be here and learn from your people. I'm Ashley Pierce, and these are my colleagues, Mike Hudson and Priya Rao." Mike waved casually, while Priya offered a polite smile. The gathered alien students stared at them, their various forms and expressions betraying a mix of interest and apprehension. Some had delicate tendrils instead of arms, others floated rather than walked, and a few communicated through vibrations that were only barely detectable through the translator. It was clear that the humans were seen as a curiosity, something new, unpredictable, and perhaps dangerous. "We have heard much about your species," Hesarem continued, her multifaceted eyes reflecting the sunlight. "Many of my students are intrigued by your presence. I must admit, the stories we've heard about your world are quite extraordinary." Ashley smiled politely. "We get that a lot." As they walked through the academic's nexus, the humans couldn't help but marvel at the sheer variety of alien life around them. The architecture of the city was like nothing they had ever seen. Crystalline towers that seemed to grow organically from the ground, surrounded by floating platforms and bridges that shimmered with a light all their own. Alien students glided through the air on anti-gravity devices, while others moved through the streets with a grace that belied their strange forms. The trio was eventually led to their quarters, which had been specifically designed to accommodate human needs. The rooms were spacious, with a mixture of familiar and alien technologies. Ashley immediately noticed the subtle air filtration system, likely installed to simulate Earth's atmosphere, while Mike examined the furniture with an approving nod. "Not bad," Mike said, flopping onto one of the couches. "I was half expecting sleeping pods or something." Priya glanced out the window at the city beyond. "I wonder what they think of us. Do you think they're afraid?" "Probably," Ashley said, sitting down beside Mike. "But that's why we're here. To show them that we're more than just Deathworlders. We're explorers, scientists, and builders." Mike grinned. "And sometimes we're troublemakers." Ashley shot him a look but couldn't help but smile. "Let's save the trouble for later. For now, let's focus on making a good impression." Just as they settled in, a notification chimed on their communication devices. It was their schedule for the first day, a cultural introduction class, followed by a series of one-on-one sessions with students from different species. Each of them would be paired with a small group of alien students, where they'd have the chance to share Earth's history, culture, and technology. "This should be interesting," Priya said, reviewing the details. "It looks like they've paired us with some of the top students. We'll have to be on our best behavior." Mike groaned. "Great. I was hoping for a nice, quiet start." Ashley stood up, stretching. "We'll be fine. Just remember, we're not here to intimidate anyone. We're here to learn and to teach them what humanity is really about." With that, the trio prepared for their first day at the academic's nexus. As they left their quarters and made their way through the bustling city, they could feel the eyes of the alien students on them, watching, waiting, and wondering what these Deathworlders would do next. But Ashley, Mike, and Priya were ready. They knew that the galaxy had a lot to learn about humanity, and they were more than willing to show them. The icebreaker. The next morning, the trio arrived at the sprawling central plaza of the academic's nexus, where the cultural introduction class was set to take place. The plaza was a hub of activity, with alien students from dozens of species mingling, their unique appearances and movements creating a kaleidoscope of life. In the center of the plaza, a large stage had been set up, where the human students would present their first lesson to the coalition. The air buzzed with anticipation. For many of the alien students, this would be their first close interaction with humans. Some had heard stories of Earth's violent history, while others were more curious about humanity's scientific advancements and technological achievements. But one thing was clear: everyone wanted to see what these Deathworlders were really like. Ashley, Mike, and Priya took their places on the stage. The moment was surreal. In front of them was an audience composed of beings from all corners of the galaxy. Creatures with shimmering scales, others with translucent skin, and some with forms so alien that even the humans' advanced training hadn't prepared them for what they saw. Ashley took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Good morning, everyone," she began, her voice calm but authoritative. "We're honored to be here as part of this cultural exchange. My name is Ashley Pierce, and this is Mike Hudson and Priya Rao. We're here to share a bit about our world, Earth, and our people. But more than that, we're here to learn from you. The translator devices hummed, converting her words into a variety of alien languages and communication forms. A ripple of energy passed through the crowd, a mixture of curiosity and excitement. Mike stepped forward next, his characteristic grin in place. So, we know you've all heard some wild stories about Earth. It's true, we're from a pretty dangerous planet. But today, we're not here to talk about how tough we are. We want to show you a different side of humanity. With a wink, Mike pulled out a small object from his pocket, a pet rock. He held it up for everyone to see, the small, round stone resting in his palm. "This is a rock," he said with a playful tone. "It's not just any rock. It's my pet rock, named Rocky. Now, you might be wondering why I'm showing you this." The alien audience watched in stunned silence, their confusion apparent. But Mike pressed on. "We humans, we're survivors, sure, but we're also problem solvers. We can turn the simplest things into tools, into companions, into something more than they seem. This little rock, it represents creativity, imagination, and, believe it or not, humor." Ashley smiled at Mike's antics, while Priya added, "And that's what makes humans unique. We find meaning in the mundane. We explore not because we have to, but because we want to. And we adapt, always finding new ways to make the universe a little brighter, even in the darkest of places." The crowd seemed to relax, some alien students even laughing, at least, those who have the capacity to laugh. The ice had been broken. As the presentation continued, the humans shared more about Earth's history, its cultures, and the way humanity had come together to explore the stars. They spoke of unity, of resilience, and of the indomitable spirit that had carried their species from a deaf world to the stars. By the time the presentation was over, the alien students were buzzing with questions, eager to learn more about these strange, yet fascinating creatures. The first hurdle had been cleared. Now, the real work would begin. The humans had successfully introduced themselves to the Nexus, but the path ahead would not be easy. Some alien students remained skeptical, others were outright hostile, but many were curious. As the trio prepared for their one-on-one sessions with the top students, they knew that the next few weeks would be crucial in determining how the galaxy viewed humanity. And they were ready to show that, despite the stories, humanity had more to offer than just brute strength. They had ingenuity, creativity, and the willingness to cooperate. And so, their journey at the academic's Nexus truly began. After their introductory presentation, Ashley, Mike, and Priya found themselves surrounded by groups of curious alien students, each eager to ask questions or share their own thoughts. The trio had expected some degree of skepticism, but the diversity of reactions surprised them. Some students seemed impressed by their adaptability, while others eyed them with lingering suspicion. As the crowd began to disperse for the one-on-one sessions, Ashley's group approached her. Leading them was a tall, elegant alien with shimmering blue skin and elongated limbs. His voice was melodic, and his expressions were subtle but noticeable through his translucent facial features. "I am Kale," he introduced himself with a slight bow, his voice soft and refined. "We have read much about humanity's rapid evolution on a death world. I must admit, the resilience of your species fascinates us." Ashley smiled politely, aware of the delicate balance she had to strike. "Thank you, Kel. Earth has certainly challenged us over the millennia. But it's not just survival that drives us. It's curiosity, a need to understand and explore. That's why we're here." Kel tilted his head. "Yet your people are known for their conflicts, both with one another and with the environment. Many of my peers believe that this curiosity you speak of is just a mask for aggression. How do you reconcile these two aspects?" Was a question Ashley had anticipated, but answering it was always tricky. She paused, choosing her words carefully. "You're right, Kale. Our history is filled with conflict, and we've made our share of mistakes. But it's also filled with cooperation, innovation, and growth. We don't deny the darker parts of our past, but we also know that conflict is not the sum of who we are. It's our desire to learn, to build, and to connect that defines us. Kale observed her for a moment before nodding. I will reserve judgment for now. I look forward to our discussions. Meanwhile, Priya found herself in a smaller, more intimate setting. She was paired with 3 alien students, one from a low-gravity, gas giant world, another from a water planet, and the last from a subterranean species that communicated through vibrations rather than sound. The challenge of communicating with such different life forms intrigued her, especially the student from the subterranean species who had a hard time understanding vocal speech. A floating translator orb hovered between them, struggling to process the unique vibrational language. The subterranean student, a stocky creature named Dizar, tilted their head slightly, their armored plates clinking softly. "Your stars," Dizar began, then a voice a low, rumbling sound that the translator barely caught. "You speak of them, like they are alive. Why?" Priya smiled, her passion for astrophysics sparking. "We humans have always been drawn to the stars. To us, they're not just distant points of light. They represent possibility. Each star could have planets orbiting it, each one potentially hosting life or new opportunities for discovery. When we look at the stars, we see our future." Dizar's plates clicked again, the vibration translating into a kind of thoughtful hum. "Fascinating. We do not look up. Our world is below, in the deep. Perhaps this is why we do not share this longing." Priya leaned forward, fascinated by the idea. "But you must still be curious about what lies beyond your world, right? Do you ever wonder what's out there in the stars?" Dizar considered this. "We are of the stone and the earth. What is above does not call to us, but perhaps it should." Priya's eyes lit up. That's the beauty of curiosity. It can take you anywhere, even beyond your comfort zone. "This is incredible," said one of the students, a small, spider-like creature with a high-pitched voice. "Your tools are so adaptable. On my planet, our devices are specialized for one purpose only." Mike grinned, enjoying the attention. "That's the thing about humans. We like versatility. You never know what problem you're going to run into, so we design our tools to handle as many situations as possible." The spider-like student, who introduced herself as Katara, raised a spindly limb in excitement. "I must know more. How did you solve the cooling problem for your plasma engines? Our species has struggled with overheating for centuries." Mike's eyes twinkled. "Ah, that's where a little ingenuity comes in. We don't just rely on one solution. We use a combination of heat dissipation systems and advanced coolants. But the real key is how we adapt those systems to different environments. Space, for example, poses unique challenges, but by adjusting our designs to account for vacuum conditions, we've managed to keep things running smoothly." Tara's limbs waved excitedly. "I must show you our designs. Perhaps you can offer some improvements." Mike chuckled. "You're on. Let's see what we can come up with together." As the day wore on, each of the humans found themselves forming unexpected connections. Ashley's group had begun to open up, intrigued not just by Earth's history, but by its art, literature, and the unique ways humans express themselves. Kale, while still cautious, started asking more thoughtful questions, probing into how humans balanced conflict and cooperation. Priya, meanwhile, had sparked a deep conversation with Dizar and the other alien students about the nature of exploration. Though their worlds were vastly different, they found common ground in their shared desire to push boundaries, even if those boundaries were metaphorical rather than physical. And Mike. He had all that started a mini engineering club. By the end of the session, Katara and the other engineering students were clamoring for more information on human technology, particularly in areas where human ingenuity had solved problems the coalition species hadn't yet cracked. The first day of one-on-one sessions ended on a hopeful note. Despite the initial challenges, it became clear that there was more to this exchange than just overcoming stereotypes. Humanity had already begun to leave its mark, not through fear or aggression, but through curiosity, creativity, and collaboration. As the humans regrouped in their quarters that evening, they shared their experiences, each of them amazed by how much they had learned and taught in just one day. "Well," Mike said, leaning back in his chair with a grin, "if today's anything to go by, I'd say we've already made a pretty good impression." Ashley nodded thoughtfully. "Yeah, but there's still a long way to go. Some of these students are still hesitant, and we're bound to face more challenges. We have to keep showing them who we really are." Priya smiled. "We will. We're just getting started." As the sun set over the crystalline city of the academic's nexus, the three humans prepared themselves for the days ahead. They knew that the path they were on was difficult, but they were ready for whatever challenges came their way. After all, they were humans, Deathworlders, survivors, and dreamers, and they had a lot to offer this galaxy. Tensions rising. A few weeks into their stay at the Nexus, Ashley, Priya, and Mike started noticing subtle changes in their surroundings. The initial curiosity and open-mindedness of many students had begun to shift. Whispers followed them in the hallways, and some alien students seemed to avoid them. It was nothing overt, but the atmosphere felt heavier. One evening, after a particularly long day of sessions, the trio gathered in their common room to debrief. Ashley leaned against the table, her brow furrowed. "Something's different," she said, breaking the silence. "I've been picking up on it all week. It's like some of the students are pulling back." Priya nodded in agreement. "I noticed it too. Dizza seemed distracted today. They weren't as engaged as usual. I tried asking, but they didn't say much." Mike, sitting with his arms crossed, frowned. "Same with Katara. She was all fired up about our plasma designs last week, but now, she's barely talking to me." Ashley sighed. "There's something going on that we're not seeing. Maybe the novelty of having humans around is wearing off, or maybe—" Before she could finish, a soft chime interrupted them. A message flashed on their communication pad. It was from Dr. Suresh, the human diplomat overseeing their time at the Nexus. The message was brief. "We need to talk. Now, meet me in the secure room." The three exchanged uneasy glances before heading to the secure room, a small, heavily shielded chamber designed for private communications. When they arrived, Dr. Sturish's face appeared on the holoscreen, her expression serious. "I'm not going to sugarcoat this," she began. "There's been a development. Certain factions within the coalition leadership are starting to question humanity's role in this exchange. They're concerned that we might be influencing their youth in ways they didn't anticipate." Priya's eyes widened. "Influencing? We've just been sharing knowledge and culture. Isn't that the whole point?" Suresh nodded. "Yes, but some believe we're pushing human ideas too aggressively. There's talk that our presence might destabilize certain coalition traditions, particularly our focus on adaptability and independence." Ashley crossed her arms, her voice steady but tense. "So, what does that mean for us? Are we being pulled out?" Suresh shook her head. "Not yet, but be careful. There's a growing undercurrent of resistance, and I fear it could escalate. Keep doing what you're doing, but tread lightly. This is a political game now, and we're walking a fine line." The screen flickered off, leaving the trio in silence. For a moment, no one spoke. Finally, Mike broke the tension. "So, now what? We just sit back and let them think we're dangerous?" Ashley shook her head. "No, we keep showing them who we really are, but we do it smartly. We've come this far, and I'm not about to back down because a few factions are nervous." Priya smiled faintly. "Agreed. We'll handle this the way we've handled everything else, together." Though the path ahead was unclear, one thing was certain: the challenges they faced were no longer just about cultural exchange. Now they were in the middle of a much larger game, one that would test not only their resolve, but the very future of human and alien cooperation. The next few days were fraught with subtle changes. The Nexus seemed to be under a veil of tension that neither Ashley, Priya, nor Mike could fully decipher. Class participation dwindled, and some of the more outspoken students had become notably silent. The trio continued their efforts with unwavering commitment, but it was clear that their presence had stirred something beneath the surface. One afternoon, as they were preparing for their next presentation on human cultural achievements, an unexpected visitor arrived. Zix 427, the alien student who had shown the most interest in their earlier lessons, appeared at their door, looking more serious than usual. "Is everything okay, Zix?" Ashley asked, noticing his unusually somber expression. Zix hesitated before speaking. "I'm not sure how to say this, but I've been hearing things. There's talk about threats to the program. It seems some factions believe the human presence is causing more harm than good." Mike frowned. "Threats? What kind of threats?" Zix lowered his voice, glancing around to ensure they were alone. "Not direct threats, but there's been a lot of speculation. Some are worried that your approach could disrupt established norms and values. They're questioning if your methods are truly beneficial or if they're undermining their traditional education." Pryor's eyes narrowed. "That's ridiculous. We're here to share knowledge and learn, not to disrupt their society." "I know," Zix said, his antenna twitching with concern. "But sometimes, when a new idea or culture is introduced, it can be perceived as a threat, even if that's not the intention." Ashley nodded thoughtfully. "We appreciate you bringing this to us. We'll be cautious, but we're not backing down." As Zix left, a sense of unease settled over the trio. They were no longer just navigating the complexities of interspecies communication. They were now entangled in a web of political intrigue and cultural defensiveness. Later that day, while walking through the Nexus's bustling corridors, Pryor's communicator buzzed with a new message. It was from Dr. Shurish, requesting an urgent meeting. The trio met with Shurish in the secure room once more. Her expression was grave, her tone unusually tense. "I've received some troubling news," she said, her voice low. "There are factions within the coalition that are pushing for a review of your program. They argue that the cultural exchange is causing more division than unity." Ashley's eyes widened. "Are they threatening to shut us down?" "Not yet," Shurish replied. "But there's a significant push to reconsider the terms of your stay. They want to assess if the benefits of the exchange outweigh the potential disruptions." Mike leaned forward, his voice firm. "We can't let them undermine what we've built. We've made progress, and there's been real learning on both sides." Shurish nodded. "I agree. That's why it's crucial to continue demonstrating the positive impact of your presence. We need to show them that the exchange is working as intended and that it's fostering greater understanding and cooperation." The trio left the meeting with a renewed sense of determination. They knew that the stakes were higher than ever, and their mission had evolved into a battle not just for their program, but for the principles of cultural exchange and mutual respect. In the days that followed, they intensified their efforts, focusing on highlighting the tangible benefits of their interactions with the alien students. They arranged joint projects that showcased the successful integration of human and alien ideas, organized cultural events that celebrated their collaborative achievements, and engaged in discussions that emphasized their shared goals and values. Despite their best efforts, the undercurrent of tension remained palpable. The alien students who had once been eager and enthusiastic now seemed more reserved, and the academic environment felt charged with unspoken apprehensions. One evening, after a particularly successful joint project presentation, Ashley, Priya, and Mike gathered in their common room, exhausted but hopeful. "I think we're making progress," Priya said, her voice tinged with cautious optimism. "The feedback we're getting is positive, and we're seeing more engagement from the students." Ashley nodded. "Yes, but we need to keep pushing. We need to show that our presence is not just about human culture, but about fostering genuine, positive change." Mike grinned. "And if we can manage to do that while keeping things interesting, we might just turn the tide." As they settled in for the night, the trio reflected on the challenges they faced and the lessons they had learned. They knew that the path ahead would be fraught with difficulties, but they were resolute in their commitment to their mission. With each passing day, they continued to navigate the complexities of interspecies relations, driven by their shared vision of a future where humanity and the coalition could work together in harmony. And though the political landscape remained uncertain, their resolve remained unshaken. A new horizon. The day of the final presentation arrived, a moment both anticipated and dreaded. Ashley Priya and Mike had worked tirelessly to prepare a comprehensive showcase of their time with the coalition, highlighting the successes and advancements that had been achieved through their collaborative efforts. The auditorium was filled with an air of anticipation. The usual blend of alien students and faculty members was now tinged with a more somber tone. The coalition's decision on the future of the program loomed over the proceedings, and the trio knew that today's presentation would be pivotal. As the three humans stepped onto the stage, they were met with a sea of expectant eyes. The room fell silent, and for a moment, it felt as if the weight of the entire program's fate rested on their shoulders. Ashley took a deep breath and began, her voice steady and clear. "Thank you all for joining us today. We stand before you not just as representatives of Earth, but as advocates for a vision of collaboration and understanding that transcends our individual cultures." She gestured to the large screen behind them, which began displaying a series of images and videos showcasing their work with the coalition. The first slide was a montage of various joint projects, human and alien students working together on advanced technology, cultural exchanges that brought new insights and mutual appreciation, and moments of shared laughter and discovery. "Our goal," Ashley continued, "has always been to foster a genuine exchange of ideas and to learn from one another. What we've achieved together goes beyond mere academic success. We've built relationships, broken down barriers, and created something that has the potential to change the way our cultures interact." Priya stepped forward next, her eyes scanning the audience. "We've faced challenges, no doubt. But through these challenges, we found opportunities for growth. We've seen firsthand the power of cooperation and the strength that comes from embracing our differences." She paused as the screen shifted to a series of testimonials from alien students who had participated in the program. Their words spoke of newfound friendships, expanded horizons, and a deeper understanding of humanity. Mike concluded the presentation with a warm smile. "We're proud of what we've accomplished, but we also recognize that this is just the beginning. The future of this program, and of our collaborative efforts, rests not in any one of us, but in the continued commitment to learning from each other and working together." As the final slide faded, the room erupted into a mix of applause and murmurs. The tension that had been palpable in the air seemed to dissolve, replaced by a sense of cautious optimism. Professor Carr, who had been a steadfast supporter throughout the program, stepped forward to address the crowd. "What we've witnessed today is a testament to the value of cultural exchange. The human presence has indeed challenged us, but it has also enriched our understanding and broadened our perspectives." There were nods of agreement from the audience, and Zix 427's antennae twitched with visible excitement. It was clear that the tides were turning. As the presentation concluded, the trio was approached by a group of students eager to discuss their experiences. The conversation was lively and full of genuine interest, a stark contrast to the initial skepticism they had encountered. The three humans took their leave, feeling a mixture of relief and pride. They had faced significant challenges and navigated through a web of political and cultural complexities, but they had succeeded in demonstrating the profound impact of their mission. Later that evening, as they gathered in their quarters to unwind, the weight of the day's events began to sink in. Priya looked around at her companions, a satisfied smile on her face. "Well, we did it. We showed them what humanity is all about." Ashley nodded, her eyes reflecting the soft glow of the setting sun. "Yes, we did. And we've laid the groundwork for something that could truly make a difference." Mike raised a glass in a celebratory gesture, to new beginnings and to the endless possibilities that lie ahead. As they clinked their glasses, a sense of accomplishment filled the room. The future was uncertain, but they had made their mark, proving that even in the vast expanse of the galaxy, humanity's spirit of curiosity, creativity, and cooperation could shine brightly. The stars outside the window seemed to twinkle with a promise of new adventures and possibilities. As the trio gazed out into the infinite expanse, they knew that their journey was far from over. The lessons learned and the connections made would continue to shape their path, guiding them toward new horizons and furthering the legacy of their remarkable mission. In that moment, under the vast and starlit sky, Ashley Priere and Mike felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had come to the Nexus as representatives of humanity, but they were leaving as pioneers of a new era of interstellar understanding and cooperation. And as they looked toward the future, they couldn't help but feel a sense of excitement for the countless stories and discoveries that lay ahead.